What's up everyone, Super Nerd Daniel here once again. In case I hadn't made it obvious enough yet with all my tweets about it or my recent Tumblr reblogs or hell, even my last video, Overwatch has been eating up pretty much all of my free time lately. I was a year late jumping onto the bandwagon for this team-based shooter game from Blizzard, and I'm honestly kicking myself for not getting it sooner. And I don't just mean because I missed out on a ton of great event exclusive skins either. Although, to be fair, I am pretty salty about that, but whatever. And of course, as I do with a lot of my fandoms, I got to thinking, hey, what if I gratuitously shoehorned Pokemon into this? And with that in mind, today, I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite Overwatch characters and tell you what I think they would be like as Pokemon trainers. Reaper is one of the first characters I really like just based on his design alone. Everyone who's watched me for more than 0 seconds knows that I have a thing for dark characters, and a gravelly voiced, skull-faced mercenary wielding dual shotguns is just edgy enough to appeal to me. I really like how you have to use Reaper to inflict lots of damage in short bursts. It's good for quickly ridding yourself of a squishy nuisance, or for breaking down tanks like Orisa or D.Va. In keeping with the theme of being one bad dude, I think it only makes sense that Reaper have a Spiritomb, a Pokemon said to be a composite entity made up of 108 wicked souls. Next up, Rodriguez, mostly to keep with the general death and doom aesthetic that Reaper has going on. After that, it'll be a Houndoom, another dark type to fit the aesthetic, not to mention a Pokemon whose burns will hurt forever, something that Reaper knows all about if you know anything about Reaper's backstory. And last, but certainly not least, Absol, another dark type to keep the running theme going and, much like Reaper, can hit real hard and real fast when given the right opportunity to do so. Although to be fair, Reaper is one of the more durable flankers in Overwatch, whereas Absol is the textbook definition of a glass cannon. Seriously, Game Freak, just a little more bulk with the Mega Evolves. Seriously, guys, that's all I ask of you. Tracer's another character that I've spent quite a bit of time with, and I swear it has nothing to do with my affinity for English accents. I swear. But in all seriousness, Tracer is one of the more mobile heroes in Overwatch. Even though she's one of the squishier characters in the game, she more than makes up for that with her ability to quickly blink in whatever direction she's moving, and even occasionally rewind herself to where she was 3 seconds prior, many times even regaining health while doing so, making Tracer one of the more annoying characters to deal with in the hands of a good player, as long as she keeps moving and shooting. Given Tracer's high mobility, I thought it was only fair to give her team lots of fast Pokemon, so with that in mind, I obviously had to start with Jolteon, a Pokemon with a whopping base 130 speed. Next up is Electrode, a Pokemon with base 150 speed that has a real nasty habit of exploding, so I think it'd be a valid reference to Tracer's ultimate ability, the Pulse Bomb. Third on the team is Blaziken, a Pokemon who can repeatedly bump its otherwise fairly average base 80 speed stat with its speed boost ability at the end of every single turn. And lastly, Talonflame, which not only has base 126 speed, but also gains priority on all of its flying type moves thanks to Gale Wings, provided of course that it has full health because, you know, when Sun and Moon came out, someone in Game Freak decided that perpetual priority Brave Bird was just too strong and decided to give Talonflame a good old nerfing. Don't worry, Smogon Burb. You'll always be OP in my heart. Honestly, I really wish I was better with Widowmaker than I actually am, because I don't think my mediocre sniping really does this cold-blooded sharpshooter any justice. Widowmaker is one of the cooler characters in Overwatch to me. Incredibly agile, precise, calculating, and ruthless, she's an incredibly efficient and skillful killer. And all it took to achieve this kind of skill was being married to a member of Overwatch, getting kidnapped and brainwashed by his enemies, turned into a sleeper agent that killed her husband when he was sleeping, and having her heart slowed down to the point where she turned blue and was unable to experience genuine human emotion, but hey, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? As for Widowmaker's Pokemon team, obviously her aesthetic and her namesake draws inspiration from spiders, mainly the Black Widow, so Ariados was an obvious choice for a team member. Next up is Toxapex, with its super high defensive stats in reference to Widowmaker's classification as a defense hero, not to mention its baneful bunker poisoning those who make contact with it is a pretty good reference to Widowmaker's Venom Mines, which deal damage to an enemy when they're triggered. Next one might seem like an odd choice, but I'm gonna go with Kingdra, not only for its good stats and typing, but also because it has the ability Sniper, which increases the power of critical hits by 50%. And last but not least, Weavile, a Pokemon known for its ability to be a very efficient hunter, and also fitting due to it being half Ice type, because some of the kills that Widowmaker gets with her sniping will leave you going, damn Widowmaker, that was cold. You know, because of the whole slowed heart thing, and she's blue, and she's probably, you know, probably got actual cold blood, and oh, fuck off, I don't need to impress you. And now we move on to my first choice for a potential main in this game. Genji was one of the first characters that I really decided I wanted to try and get really good with after I got the game because, hey, what's a skill cap, am I right? But there's a good reason that a lot of people consider Genji to be one of, if not the most difficult heroes to learn in Overwatch. He's pretty fragile, and although he's able to potentially put out quite a bit of damage at a time, that requires a great deal of precision, timing, and skill. But in the hands of a good player, he's extremely dangerous. Genji is by far one of the most agile heroes in Overwatch, able to double jump and scale up walls, making him an excellent flanker with mobility that not a lot of characters have. And if you're able to skillfully combine his shuriken attacks with his swift strike ability and his ultimate, the Dragon Blade, he'll be racking up the kills faster than you could say, "I need healing." But let's be real, it's Genji, so you'll probably still say it about 20 times even during the ult. For Genji's team, I think Ninjask is a pretty fitting choice, not only because of the name obviously being derivative from the word ninja, but because, like Blaziken from Tracer's team, it has the speed boost ability to make sure it'll beat most opponents to the punch. Next, I'm gonna give Genji a Greninja, because it's essentially the ninja Pokemon. Not only do its name and design obviously take inspiration from ninjas, but for crying out loud, its signature attack is called Water Shuriken, directly in line with Genji's primary form of attack. How would I not pick this mon for the team? Straying from the ninja theme just slightly, team member number 3 is gonna be a Skarmory, a Pokemon with wings so hard and sharp that people used to use them to make swords, a perfect reference to Genji's own sword. And Skarmory's half-steel typing could be a valid reference to Genji's body being enhanced by cybernetics to save his life, you know, after his jerk-ass brother left him for dead. And lastly, I know this is gonna seem really OP and kinda cheap, but I gotta give Genji a Rayquaza. It's pretty much the only dragon type that, at least design-wise, is really in line with the kind of dragons associated with both Genji and his brother Hanzo, and let's be fair, at least I didn't say it was Mega Rayquaza. You know, the Pokemon that's stronger than God and doesn't need to hold a Mega Stone to Mega Evolve. I mean, give me some credit here, I'm not that evil. And last, but certainly not least, we go from my first attempted main to the character that I actually think will be my real main, the ever-elusive hacking extraordinaire, Sombra. Sombra is a rather unique character because of her abilities. Operating mostly through stealth and cunning, she can turn invisible to slip out of the enemy's sight, use her translocator to instantly jump to another spot on the map, especially if she's found herself in an unfavorable fight, and while she is able to hold her own against weaker enemies, Sombra really works best when she can use her hacking abilities to temporarily disable a foe's own abilities, shut down most forms of turrets, or even hack health packs on the map so that they regenerate faster and charge her ultimate, all the while preventing those very same health packs from being used by anyone on the enemy team. All of these are great ways to help Sombra pick apart big threats and overall just take away enemy resources, something that appeals quite heavily to my love of heal tactics. Moving on to Sombra's Pokemon team, I think it's pretty obvious right away that she'll have a Porygon Z. Now, I did consider the classic Porygon 2 with Eviolite for this slot because of its superior bulk, but in all fairness, Sombra's fairly squishy, so that didn't really seem to fit. And besides, isn't Porygon Z basically just what happens when you take a Porygon 2 and try to hack it to make it better? Next up is Klefki, a Pokemon who's always been utilized competitively as a handy support Pokemon because of its ability Prankster, giving its status moves priority regardless of speed, and people most often use this priority to sneak in a cheeky Thunder Wave or throw down some spikes. Plus, Pranksters seem kind of fitting for Sombra personality-wise, because, as seen in her animated short, she still took the time to screw around with Reaper a little bit despite the fact that, you know, they were there to assassinate someone. For the third slot, it might seem a bit cheap to double down on the whole Prankster thing, but I've gotta give it to Sableye. Sableye's move pool lends itself to a few different but still super annoying methods of shutting down the opponent, like spamming Recover or ruining physical attackers with Will-O-Wisp burns. And lastly, in light of the kind of intellect that it takes to be such an efficient and dangerous hacker, and because of her belief that information is power, the last spot on Sombra's Pokemon team goes to ALAKAZAM, a Pokemon said to be so intelligent that it has an IQ of 5,000, and yet it can only learn 4 moves at a time. Go figure. And to be fair, ALAKAZAM does fit Sombra pretty well in the defensive end, what with its piss-poor physical defense, when you think about how well Sombra usually does when she tries to mindlessly 1v1 a big physical attacker. It's not good. It's not optimal. So now it's your turn. For those of you who play Overwatch, who's your main? And what Pokemon do you think they would have on their Pokemon team? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe to get your ass on the payload and receive more videos like this in the future. See you next time, Pokemon trainers. Super Nerd Daniel, out!